Widespread poverty exists in America, one of the richest countries in the world, and one reason is because there are barriers that are in place to keep certain groups at the bottom. I am beholden solely to you, the people. I am standing here so you can put me there.
The life and legacy of Shirley Chisholm, Unbossed and Unbowed, a one-woman show by Guyanese actress Ingrid Griffith. My conversation with her up next on CaribNation. The trailblazer, Shirley Chisholm, born in New York to Caribbean parents, was the first Black woman who had the audacity to run for a seat in the United States Congress and then for President of the United States. Her signature statement, "If they have no room at the table, bring your own folding chair," coupled with her passion for justice at the grassroots level, inspired many Black women to run for public office. They stand on the shoulders of Shirley Chisholm. Today, my guest is Ingrid Griffith, who tells the story of Shirley Chisholm in a stellar one-woman traveling show.
My name is Shirley St. Hill. I was going to a higher level in government. Widespread poverty exists in America, one of the richest countries in the world. We gotta go along to get along, Chisholm. The system you are promoting needs fixing in order for the American dream to live. Chisholm, you need to try to fit in. Watch me. Shirley, it's Gloria. We women can be a powerful coalition. How do you feel about the militant Black Panthers endorsing your campaign? Shirley? Tom Jones here. Some of our members are expressing reservations about having a woman on the ticket. So you're going back to people who don't get you and who don't have your back. I'm here, and I have no intention of just sitting quietly observing. Merit will win the day. How about that? And here she comes, Shirley Chisholm.
Ingrid, thank you so much for joining me again to talk about your second performance. I had the pleasure of watching you, and I think it was a stellar performance. I have to say right off the bat, comparing to what I saw before, especially your first performance at Demerara Gold, I've seen the growth. I've seen your growth. I've seen your confidence grow. And obviously the complexity of what you're able to do is amazing. So I'd like to talk about that. Unbossed and Unbowed, the legacy of Shirley Chisholm. Let's talk about, why did you want to do this?
Well, I always keep saying it's mainly because I did not know about her, and the little I knew got me curious, and I was surprised that I did not hear more about her in high school and in a college course. Nothing was offered, and I decided that it was time for me to look into her life. I saw a documentary that sort of pushed me more to go in that direction. And it was a documentary about the 1972 presidential campaign for the Democratic Committee, the Democratic candidates in 1972, and she was one of them. And so it was about her, but it was also about the other candidates. And it stirred me to really decide to go find out more about her.
I had the pleasure of meeting the young lady who did that documentary, who was working on that documentary when she first started. We were talking about that. I also had the pleasure of talking with Shirley Chisholm, but it was towards the end of her time. And she had been diagnosed with early onset dementia.
Mhm.
And she said to me in a very crisp Bajan, I don't think I would be as accurate as I would want to be and as articulate as I would want to be. And so she did not want to expose herself or be vulnerable to do a television interview or a radio interview. At the time I was at the Voice of America. So that is my one regret, that she did not do the interview, but I did have the pleasure of talking with her. And that very crisp, stately persona never left her. And what I found interesting was that you were able to capture that and maintain it throughout your performance, which I think is admirable, because it's not easy to maintain that. And I also was impressed by the number of characters you were able to portray.
Yeah, I
The
heard about
accents
15.
and that sort of thing. It's phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a true story, and I had to gather as much information as that was out there that I could find, and then I had to decide where I wanted to start the story and kind of where I wanted it to. I knew I wanted it to end up at the 1972 presidential campaign. But I didn't know all the in between, all the other stuff that we saw. That's all research. And so when I got all that information, I said, well, I'm going to have to try a way to bend things and to keep that arc going, because it's an 80-minute show, but also share as much as I could to understand the character, the other characters' point of views. And I had to decide which character I should choose to have in this particular show and why. I wanted to choose characters that really made an impact in her earlier life, and then an impact as a college student, an impact as like a 20-something-year-old coming out of college and starting working as a young woman, and as a married woman, or as an older woman finding her niche and finding her voice even more and finding her purpose. So that led to characters like her mom and dad, who were very important to this story. I really wanted to show her circumstances, where she started off, how she started off, where the family started off, what the parents' values were, and because that clearly came into her choices, Shirley Chisholm's values and purpose in life. And then, as say for instance, when she returned to the U.S. at age 10, she felt like an outsider. She was born in America, but she went to Barbados at age 3 and came back at age 10 to the US and felt like an outsider. So I wanted to show who would be influences, who would be people in her life that would make her feel like an outsider. And that clearly created the scene on the playground. Youngsters like her, young girls like her playing, and her trying to play with them. Clearly, that's a big, that's a big reason for kids to either feel wanted or not.
And that's the earliest point at which one can feel that. Yes.
Exactly. And then the other was at school, how the teachers saw her, and
Mm-hmm.
how was how they took her in, like how was she in the classroom? Was she still this, as you said, she was a very bright kid. Was
Mm-hmm.
she the bright, talkative kid that the parents knew at home, or did things change when she got into the classroom, and why? So those led me to the school teacher, and the school teacher calling the dad in to say, well, I don't think Shirley's doing that great.
Yeah.
And, we may have to put her back. And this is what she's doing. And the father's like, well,
A typical West Indian father.
not a bit of it. She's not
Oh,
being
no.
You don't know the child I have, and I'm going to
Exactly.
make this work. I'm going to show you how it's going to work out. And, you need a different approach.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was very important for me to share, because it also showed how the dad was so, such a force in her life.
Yes. Yeah.
Representing, and encouraging and speaking on her behalf, and not cowering like some immigrants do when we're, coming from another country. We don't want to talk, and whatever they say we think is the right thing, and they're a different color than us, so they must know, They're in control.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's
None of
the big America. They know better.
the Americans, they must know better.
Yes. Let's talk some more about you. You chose some specific um, segments of Shirley Chisholm's life where she made certain points about women, about persons' roles that people have to play. Talk about how you were able to incorporate that and link those pieces to bring the whole story together, because I know to tell about a person's life, it's a long story, but
Right.
you were able to choose the most poignant pieces and then link them together very well, and that was what I saw.
Well, I think the experience when she found an all Black political club that she can be a part of that had her same values, how the members and the members or the folks who were more control were men, which is
Mm-hmm.
at that time that's definitely
That's the way it was.
understandable and that's correct. And where she and the other women are doing things that are making things happen, help making things happen as a team, but are not being heard or not and not being acknowledged in the sense that your idea doesn't really matter. But
Mm-hmm.
you can lick the stamps and you can answer the call phones and you can
Yeah.
decide and pick it and you can do raffles and you can that we want and that we're
This
happy about, but don't come to about telling us about what to do with the district and our
and
community
ideas and things like that. Yeah.
and wanting to be part of that discussion and even wanting to even consider running the club. That's like off, that's not even on the radar.
Yes. How dare you?
So that theme, that thread connected when she became, in her 50s, when she was in the New York State Assembly. The
That's
same
right.
thing was happening. The
Yeah.
same thing about finding a group of people at the UDC. She formed a group with other people of other races and men and women, and all on the same page until it was time to support her, endorse her for the New York State Assembly seat, which she endorsed other people. She's
Mm-hmm.
part of the team. So now
Right.
somehow it came up that there's a chance for her. And this one member that wanted her to do it, this male UDC
Mm-hmm.
member, I wanted to show that character because there's some characters, some people, as you know, in your life, they want to help, but and they're with you, they get you, and then they say, okay, I'm going to do this for you, but then the crowd says no.
Yeah, exactly.
The crowd and say, I got to let you go. Like, sorry, I know.
Right.
And so that character was important for me to portray because
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there were many characters like that in her life
I'm
that
sure.
worked with her but did not go fully and support her. So the Gloria Steinem later on in 19.
Absolutely.
So there's another level of that same thing where we women are sticking together. I'm with you. And the women's suffrage movement showed us that. Well, the women's suffrage movement did not show us that.
No,
They left
that was, yeah,
when they got what they needed.
fragmented.
They also left the black women
Right.
in the lurch.
That got fragmented. Yes.
Yes. But if you don't know your history, you would think that they stuck together. We all stuck together because we started together in the sense that we knew strength were in numbers. Black and white women knew strength were in numbers, and then something happened.
Of course.
And they left in the lurch. So that is information that I wanted to share in a subtle way that if you don't know the full story, you would think that white women and black women were together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were, but not for long.
And that still happens.
And that still happens.
So it's quite relevant to today. Yes.
So
Yeah.
those three links, the local, when she was in local politics in the community, trying to be a part of a club that would challenge the white political machine in Brooklyn, how the black male members couldn't accept her for who she was. Then when she went to the New York State Assembly, or when she, in the 60s, when she created a group And when it was time to push her and promote her and support her, they couldn't. And then in 1972, when she ran for president, not only Gloria Steinem, but other members, black and white, forsook her as well.
Yeah, backed out. Yeah, yeah.
They couldn't go all the way with her.
Yes. Yes, it was important, I think, to show the obstacles that she was able to overcome. And one of the things that I always ask people when I interview them at that level is how much of their Caribbean-ness they think was instrumental in helping them get to where they are. And how much of that do you think? I mean, she was all Caribbean, Guyanese and Bajan, two of the strong parts of the Caribbean. How do you see that Caribbean culture, the Caribbean-ness, playing in who she became?
I think it had a strong impact. I think her living in Barbados from age 3 to 10 really solidified that upbringing, the Caribbean values, the about education, number one, early schooling. You don't go and play in the school. You go and
Do your work.
And and recite things, and you start writing early. I think that had, and she will tell you that. I'm not just coming off the top of my head, although I'm from Guyana, so I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But I think the education, I think seeing people her color doing things in Barbados, so I had a poor family, but I also have a family who was an editor of a newspaper. I have a family member who's a doctor. That's how we are in Guyana. We got relatives and friends and neighbors doing things.
Doing things. Making decisions.
Making decisions, like yes, in leadership roles, having their businesses. So it's not unheard of for me to say, okay, so I'm a poor Black girl, because, we're all brought up, most of us were brought up poor. I was brought up poor. I mean, we were waiting for my parents' money to come to pay school fees and music fees and a bicycle and whatever we needed.
Whatever you needed.
So, and really looking forward to that letter with the money. So she had that same experience, but there was something about aspirational. We knew we could be anything we wanted to be. That was never an issue. Yeah. And I think she had that same sort of experience, seeing people around her in her community or in her next village or family members, distant or otherwise, that were doing things in the government, and as teachers and doctors and newspaper reporters and that kind of thing. So for her to want to be president of the United States, that was not far-fetched.
Not a big deal. Yeah.
Not a big deal. Not like, how dare she? Of course, that's what they were saying. But it's like, yeah, why not? Why can't I do that? I'm smart. I'm passionate. I am talented. This is, I'm committed. And so I think that Caribbean background and training had a lot to do with it. And, her parents were very religious as well.
Of course.
Very religious and disciplined. Every Saturday, they went to the library. They would come back, sit at the table for lunch, the whole family, and talk about what their week at school was like and what book they returned and what books they took out. So the parents had this thing, and then all day Sunday they were at church all day.
Yes. Yeah, we can relate to that too.
Absolutely. There's a foundation there.
Yes. And I think that she also was able to understand pride in industry, the motto of Barbados. That is very strong in Barbados as a person who was raised by Barbadian parents. I can relate to that. It's about the industriousness of what we do and how we go about what
Work
we do,
ethic.
Doing it properly. Exactly.
Yes, yeah. Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about the mechanics of getting this together. The research that you had to do. I know it could not have been easy because, as you said, there was not a lot of information out there for you to work with. Where did you start? And also tell me a little bit about how Shirley Chisholm impacted you.
Okay, so regarding the research, I started at Schomburg And the Schomburg is the center for everything Black
Right.
culture, and that's in Harlem. And I live in Manhattan, so it was sort of like a few train rides away. And, so I would just go every Friday and Saturday. I would stay 4 hours, but I would always stay longer because once you get into the
yes, you start
get the information coming, because you have to place the sort of like let them know what you want, and then they find it, and then once it's there, you just get really, I just got involved, and I would just keep going until the library closed.
Close you off, they shut you out.
And then there were times they said, okay, Shirley Chisholm's more of Shirley Chisholm's writings and articles are at Brooklyn College, because that's her alma mater. So I went to Brooklyn College, and that was a hike. That was like an hour and a half.
Imagine, yeah.
Yeah, it's the end of Brooklyn. Well, sort of the end of I think the Flatbush train.
Right.
Yeah, and I would just,
Carnival ends.
I would write. I would take photos of snapshots, because some things that you can't, you have to. Most of the things have to stay where they were. And then I would come back, and then I wasn't sure if I wanted to come back to that same thing, because so I really had to like discipline myself in terms of this this chunk is done, I'm moving on. So how do I keep this information for myself, for my records? And so it's a lot of recording and note taking and photographing of things, because I just did not know where the story was going to go. I'm just taking information. So that was daunting. But I hung tight, because the more I researched her story, the more I was in awe. I mean, the stuff I was finding, I couldn't believe it. And then I was relating to a lot of them. There are a lot of similarities. And that made me like, it got me going, and I started feeling like she was driving me to become this disciplined person. Because I needed that consistency.
The stick in there, which is what she had to do. Yes.
Exactly. So it really was an amazing journey, I would say, daunting, but also empowering and exciting, because I was unearthing information that not only I didn't know, I know a lot of people didn't know. And there's this treasure chest that I was collecting.
Of information,
Yes. Of course, meanwhile, I'm saying to the other side of me saying, how did all this get hidden? How did no one ever thought of talking about Shirley Chisholm, publishing anything about Shirley Chisholm? What happened? Who dropped the ball?
Especially when you think of the number of people standing on her shoulders today.
And the thing is, as I started the research in 2015, I was doing Demerara Gold.
Right.
And, so it was it was on the side, but I needed to be doing it. I needed to be doing both. And sometimes just doing one show can be a little too much. You get too into your head. Other things should be happening for me at the same time. But I do have to say, so that was 2015. By 2018, I had finished the research and started writing. That's when Shirley Chisholm's name came back on the map. The squad, the 4 women, I think, of color that entered Congress in 2018.
Oh, yes.
One, Ayanna Presley's the other, Ilan. They started about how much Shirley influenced them, and that's why they are in Congress and wanted to be congresswomen. And I was like, I couldn't believe I was hearing her name, because for the past 3 years, no one was. When I told friends, they were like, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, my mom knew about her, but she's a little nutty, right? And they would laugh at her. It was
that crazy little black woman.
Yeah, it was very, very dismissive, and kind of like I kind of know her, but I think she's a little wacky. So why go there? But truth be told, she is. She's quite the opposite.
Quite a force.
It's something else. So I have to say that there are people that knew about her, like people like that knew more about her than I did, but they weren't mainstream. There weren't enough of them.
Right.
Me.
Yes. Yeah, because I knew about her when I first came here. I came here in 1970. So it was all ablaze at the time. That's all I heard about. I remember watching her with Jesse Jackson when they were starting the campaign. She was starting her campaign and looking to get into the area. And I remember I was new to Washington, new to the politics, but it was really fascinating to me.
Yeah. No, I would think that was a heady time. I mean, I could
Yes,
feel it in the, and I hope that the show did that too, had that
yes,
energy that was happening. There's change
absolutely,
coming. Yeah.
absolutely, yes. Very, very, very energizing and festive. Now, festive maybe, but I don't want to say combative, but it was quite an energetic time. And
Energetic. I think I like
yes,
that word. Yes.
yes, yes,
You know why? And I like that word because she is energetic and
absolutely.
she has ideas. She's clear. It's not just to fight. We're
No,
talking,
yeah, she
and
had
that's how
solid,
she's here.
solid.
Let's
Yeah.
share. Let's go for it. I'm ready. I have information and you may have something that I need to hear. And let's go with that in the right way because
And let's be purposeful about it. Yes,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what did you take from her that you think will either enhance you personally or where you go, what you do?
For sure, her perseverance. I felt she she had a lot of things in her way that were not going for her, and we all do, right? We can
Oh yeah,
sit and count and cry, and we do, and that's okay. And as you saw, Shirley Chisholm is a human being. She also felt pain by certain things that happened, but it's about next step. How do I go get back up and go again? And it's not this wallowing. It's more of a, all right, that was sort of something that didn't work out, but I'm still going. The path is shifting in path, but I'm still trying to
just
move
go
forward.
with the flow and find a way around it.
Yeah. Yeah. And she did.
Hmm.
I she made a lot of change happen and she had a lot of supporters.
Yes,
Something like she did
yes,
have supporters. It's just
yes.
that crunch.
Not enough, but she
Right.
did have
And crunch time,
a
when
sizable.
exactly. And because what she was about was like forming alliances with different groups. And I think that's what I appreciated about her as well. She doesn't know, it's like, I don't know who's going to do this for me, but we're all, and the point is, we're all in the same boat, white, green, yellow, orange, male, female. And now let's figure out how we can work together.
To
We're
get
not
this
going to
done.
be dearest friends. We're not perfect together, but let's share our strengths and let's work with purpose and a
Because
specific
this is the goal. Yes,
that.
yeah. The One Woman Show with Ingrid Griffith on Shirley Chisholm, Unbossed and Unbowed. And wherever you are, if you have the opportunity to see it, please go and see it. Find out how to get there. Have your young people see it. I agree.
I do want to share the website.
Absolutely.
Unbossedunbowed.com. And I'm going to repeat that. Unbossed, which is UNBOSSED. Next word, but together. Unbowed, UNBOWED.com. And you'll find everything you need to know about the show, about me, and about hosting it.
All
Thanks
the
so much
best to
for
you.
having me.
My pleasure.
Thank
All the
you
very
much.
best.
And you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. And thank you for watching Carib Nation. Remember, our motto here is one people, one culture, one Caribbean, one nation. Until next time, I'm Derrice Dean.